Have you ever heard of Candyman?
Hey guys, this week I'm reviewing Candyman. Candyman is a movie from 1992. It's based on a short story novella type thing by Clive Barker, who's obviously done a lot of horror novels and is a really great horror writer. He sort of was behind Hellraiser, which is, probably the most well-known thing he's done, and also most recently Midnight Meat Train, which came from the Books of Blood, which also this story came from as well, Candyman, and it was called something else in the book, but I can't remember what that was. But anyway, this movie stars Tony Todd, who plays Candyman, and Tony Todd is kind of an actor that has appeared in a lot of stuff since doing this, mainly because of this movie, I suppose. He's kind of this, he does a lot of cameos and things in various movies like Final Destination. He made a cameo in Angel, I think, at one point as well. He sort of pops up in loads of different things since doing this role, and he plays the character really well. I mean, obviously the Candyman is kind of a horror icon, I guess, in a way. Maybe not as popular or as well known as, say, Jason or Freddy or Mike Myers, those sort of things, or even Pinhead from Hellraiser. But he kind of is a character that is, I don't know, he's quite different from those characters, partly because, the Candyman franchise is quite short. There's only 3 movies in the trilogy. I don't know if there's talks of any more or anything, but it's kind of not that long of a series in terms of, compared to like Friday the 13th or stuff like that. But the character is quite an interesting one. He's kind of got this romantic type side to him, and the whole story of how he became to be this evil monster of a murderer type character, I don't know, is quite interesting. Basically, his character is this man. He's in these kind of rich, I suppose, looking clothes, and his hand was cut off. He was basically he was put to death, and his hand was cut off, and in that place he has a hook, and he was also taken to when he was executed, he was taken to this beehive, and these bees were just sort of just basically stung him to death, I think. And the bees are a big part of the movie, as you can probably tell from the cover. And there's some really great special effects and scenes they use the bees in. There's one point where the character, the Candyman, actually has his mouth full of bees, and he opens his mouth and there's all these bees falling out. And it was actually practically done. I think I watched the documentary afterwards, and it said that they put like a mouth guard in his mouth to stop him swallowing the bees. But they did like sting him and stuff, so it's a really great thing. It's a really amazing looking effect where he's opening his mouth and all these bees are falling out. But yeah, the story of the movie is basically about this character called Helen Lyle, and she's kind of a student working for a university. She's doing a paper on urban legends, and she goes and researches the urban legend of Candyman, which is basically like the whole Bloody Mary type legend, where basically if you say Candyman 5 times in a mirror, you summon the Candyman, and he comes and kills you. And because they're living in an area where these murders had happened, where the Candyman was supposed to have been seen and things like that, she then chooses this story to do a paper on. So she goes around, investigates, and she ends up summoning the Candyman. Well, first of all, she finds a fake Candyman, and she sort of becomes famous because of that. And afterwards she meets the real Candyman, who, once she meets him, she kind of blacks out and she wakes up in an apartment. And in the apartment is this woman that she's recently met earlier on in the film and found out information about the Candyman from. And when she wakes up, she finds her, the woman whose house it is, she finds a dead dog on the floor, and the dog's head has been cut off, and the woman's baby's missing, and everybody blames Helen Lyle for doing this, when actually, it was the Candyman. And then later on in the film, what else happens? Oh, she goes back home, and then her friend is then murdered by the Candyman, and then she's blamed again. So she's taken to a psychiatric mental institution type thing, and it's basically up to her to try and prove her innocence, I guess, in a way, and sort out what's actually, who is the Candyman, what's going on, why he's doing this to her. And it's a pretty interesting movie. It's an hour and 35 minutes long. The first 40 minutes are quite boring, not in a bad way. Well, no, not necessarily boring, but quite slow. And it's not like what you'd expect from this horror movie. If you've heard anything about it, you may expect it to be a slasher, or that sort of horror movie, which it isn't. It's more of an investigative or detective type movie at the beginning. It's about this woman delving into the Candyman urban legend and finding out as much as she can about the Candyman, and therefore you don't see that many. I think the first kill, aside from the one at the beginning, isn't until 40 minutes into the movie, so that says something, for the type of horror film that it is, I guess. The movie does have some kind of stupid moments. One in particular at the beginning is this story that one of the students is telling about the Candyman, and how this couple are like, this couple at the beginning of the movie are about to have sex. So they're going to have sex, and then just as they're about to have sex, the woman stops, and she's like, hang on, before we have sex, have you ever heard the story of the Candyman? And I just thought that was a bit kind of, you know, why would you do that in the middle of sex? You know, summon this Candyman to come and kill you. It seemed a bit stupid. But maybe that's what some people are into, I don't know. Anyway, the Candyman. Great movie. I'd probably give it 6.57 out of 10. It's not the best movie. The ending was good. I did like the ending, and overall, I would be interested in watching the other two. I think there's Candyman 2, and then there's Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, or something I think it's called. I might be interested in seeing them at some point, but for now, I liked how this one ended. I think it kind of rounded things off nicely, and it's a great movie, so I'd recommend checking it out. So yeah, Candyman.